Yeah, you can see me. Well, it's Friday. What are you going to do about it? I have no idea. Even I don't know what I'm going to do about it. Are we recording? We are. Good. Oh, I don't know. I'm sitting here. It's chilly. Getting ready to snow. That's pretty cool. What are we doing? Oh, wait, honey, is it still going to snow here?
Yeah, I saw it sleeting.
Oh, you did? I just didn't know if we were too low elevation-wise. Okay, first, Oozy Wolf. That's a great name. LMFA many O's. I love the Dallas hate. Didn't think it was possible to like this channel even more, but here we are. Go Birds. Yeah, you know, I don't have a whole lot of love in my heart for you know, the Cowboys or Jerry Jones or even before Jerry Jones or anything else like this. But I will tell you this about the Eagles. Eagles fans are some of the funniest, wittiest NFL posters I'm aware of on the NFL subreddit. It's the Eagles fans are just unbelievably awesome at doing roasts, and man, they love digging into Dallas, and it's just hilarious. Oh, wait a second. Talking about this stuff, I haven't done wrist check. Okay, well, for wrist check, sorry to say, it's a little boring, but I just can't. I don't know. When I first got it, it was used, and it wasn't running very well. It had to have service, never been serviced before. And I got a good deal on it. And so I got it here and I serviced it, and I wore it pretty regularly for a good few months. And then I don't know why, I just kind of stopped. And I was trying to get into, I don't know, I was doing different stuff and I was kind of stuck in a rut. And also, it was packed away. That's another problem. It was packed away because I was busy doing all this work upstairs, so couldn't get to my watches. And then I put it on a whim, and I'm like, I really, really love this watch. Like, I love how it wears. I love the height. I love the details of it. I love the cleanliness of it. I love that it's just a simple, simple watch. I don't even feel like I'm wearing it. I love the simple stick hands. It's absolutely legible at night, and that's pretty much what I need. On the other wrist, because I'm serious about my collections, I used to have 2 gold dials. Now I only have 1 because I don't duplicate anything in my box. I don't duplicate. So if I have a gold dial, I'm not going to have 2 gold dials. This one is the JDM 6139 6000 21 joules speed timer model. It's original lumen. Everything else, it's just, I just love it because it's got, you know, with the sports and the 2 different colors, it feels a little less, I don't know, conservative. I don't have the original bracelet for it. These came with this weird taper bracelet that had these like things in it. And I don't have them, and I think they tend to be kind of rattly anyway, so. But anyway, that's my baby. It's my 1 gold watch. My 1 gold dialed 6139. And we're back. I don't know, it just got such perfect simplicity. I'm just really enjoying wearing it, which surprises me, as I said, because normally I like watches with more complications. Ooh, dear. Let's see. Oh, I never did tell you about this, by the way. Remember last week, Sabrina came up with a rock she brought home? I scrubbed it and cleaned it, and you can see some of the open chambers there. You can actually, if you look at the middle, it goes, there's the middle, you know, hole, and it goes around like this, and then it goes around like that, and you can see the shadows, especially if I turn it so you center it around that you can really see it. That's pretty cool. Okay. Evan Boyer. I have one of these. This is a 7828 7049. So that's the no date three-hand chronograph, but it's in a case with a rotating ring, bidirectional. They're lovely watches with a super cool sort of satin blasted finish. One of my favorite Seiko finishes. I love the way it looks. Anyway, I have one of these. It was my dad's. It looks close to unworn. Really no blemishes anywhere. Frankly, I feel it's too nice to be worn. So what are you going to do with it? I mean, they're awesome watches. You're going to keep it and just think about it? Does it have battery in it right now? Is it ticking along, or is it powered down somewhere? Does he have the other stuff with it, like the boxes, manuals? I'd be curious to know. What are you going to do with it? Oh, okay. This next... Okay. There were a ton of questions about the Marine Master 300 that got sent in. Remember, this was the one that was deep in the ocean. Now, let me put in a picture of it right here. So I went and you guys, I mean, those that saw it, saw the evaluation video, and a lot of people were like, okay, man, are you going to do it? Please tell me you're going to rip that thing apart. Oh, I'd love to. Oh my gosh, it's a struggle every single day not to rip into that thing. But the owner hasn't yet got back to me about whether or not he wants me to look into it. I can't just kind of do like an explore. Well, I could, but I don't want to. I don't want to open that watch without knowing what's going to happen after I open it, no matter what. My number one goal is saving the watch, but he has to decide what he wants to invest in saving this watch, and I'm not going to open it until I know what the choice is, because it's going to be a tremendous amount of work to do. It's going to be a tremendous amount of work. I don't even know how bad it'll be. Again, the watch has liquid water in it right now. I have it boxed up and sealed away, but I haven't heard back from the owner, and so I don't have any news really about it. One person, oh well, let's see. Adrian Hargreaves said, "Hi Spencer, how long do you think it took for the Marine Master to start taking water in?" I don't know. It looks to me that now I haven't seen this personally because I haven't gone into the watch, but the owner sent me a picture. He popped the bezel off. He was doing that when he was cleaning it, and there was a picture. There was like literally on the side of the screw down crystal ring, because the crystals on these are a cartridge. They have two crystal rings they screw together. And so you've got the inner one and the outer one. In the outer ring, right against the side of the case, it looks like a mouse hole. So something there was long enough, and it's relatively thin there, that they were able to get water in, and then it sat there long enough and it got in. How long it would have taken? I have no idea. It's the watch is an SBDX001. It's a first gen. I don't know how long it was in the, down in the mud, down in the sand, doing whatever it was going to do. I mean, it was the case back date, I think, is 2005. Interestingly, to answer actually Saul Brooks' question about the thing. Oh wait, did I not copy your thing? Saul Brook also wrote about this, and he said, about that thing particularly, is like, it's why you shouldn't trust bracelets in the ocean. And he said it was probably that tiny little the tiny little spring bar that connects for the diver extension. It's about that long. Saul, in fact, that is what happened. That's what failed. I don't know if the watch, if it just worked its way loose, or if like they got hit with a big wave or something happened, but that teeny tiny little thing failed. The whole clasp opened up for some reason, if it wasn't already, and it went brink, and it came apart, and that was the end of it. It was gone. So yeah, that was the thing. So yeah, again, CLO 27, that Marine Master 300 looked crazy. Can't wait to see inside. I'm excited about looking inside. I did note the owner sent me pictures after he cleaned it, but he also sent pictures that had come from his coworker, the person who found it on the beach. And looking at that picture, which we just saw a little bit ago, I can see that there's a discoloration of the minute hand loom that was present when it was found on the beach. So, and that's there now. If water got in, that long ago, there's nothing. I can't even imagine what's inside that watch. But water got in pretty quickly, and that was the end of it. And I'm not exactly sure how long that would have taken. Couple of years, maybe. I don't know, man. Heck, maybe it hadn't started taking on water at all until whatever the storm was that dredged it off the bottom and threw it up on the beach. Maybe the storm was able to stress out a part that was... Huh. I don't think I have that thing set to the right time. It's like 4 minutes slow. Mm-hmm. That's not right. I don't dig that. Anyway, but you remember there was a storm, there was a couple big storms that hit Hawaii. I mean, they're always getting storms, but big storms with lots of swell, they'll scrape stuff off the bottom and run it up on the shore. There was, oh honey, it's snowing.
No.
Very first in our marriage, in fact, before we were married, actually, we were walking on the beach back in Cape Cod after a big nor'easter, big one, and we were walking on the beach, and the inner bay between South Shore and all that other kind of stuff. And Cape Cod right there, the swell had just dug everything out of the bottom of like that sort of bay that's there. But like big stuff, anchor chains. We found the back end of the transom of a wooden boat named the Driftwood, and it was just sitting on the beach. It was from some boat from the 1900s, 1800s maybe. So maybe that's what happened here with this watch. Maybe it didn't get any water in it until it got knocked about, but it still had water in it for a while. Anyway, long story short, until I hear from the owner, there's nothing I can really do. We'll see. The next question is from Michael Matera. I did not make a note about which video you were enjoying, but I really enjoyed this video, Spencer. I'm glad. It got me to thinking about my watch collecting and my own personality. I love watches, but I have an unending desire to know how things work. While I love to tinker, I have a strong line on fixing versus maintaining. I feel like maintaining is best left in the hands of experts, but you can't become an expert unless you take some risks. I have two hobbies, I guess, watches and collecting, and then a second far less developed hobby of opening a watch and fixing it. Wonder if you've ever thought about this kind of opposing forces in watches. Not really. It's never really been a separation for me. They just, I mean, if I wasn't paid to do this, I would still do it because I enjoy it. I've been doing it relentlessly for a very long time now. So there is no separation. For me, all the watches, I don't get a watch in here and really feel like it's mine until I've actually gone through it. Until I've actually opened and checked it and looked at it and made sure that it was okay. So until I do that, it just unless it was like something incredibly expensive that completely did not need my input, because it was like either exquisitely made or perfectly maintained or recently serviced or whatever, that would maybe be different. Like, if I ever got that brand new El Primero, I'm not going to I'm not going to mess with it until it asks to be messed with. So for me, it's all one thing. It's a hobby. I'd do it for free if I could, but too many watches. Okay, the next question, Andrew Fishkin. Andrew Fishkin is writing about one of the limited edition 50th and 55th anniversary chronographs that came out a year and something on ago. So it was like the Panda, but it was like a 3 Panda, so it had 2 black things like this. And then the other one was sort of a champagne dial with Dauphin hands and SB or just a C003 or something. I don't remember the model number. But it was based on, the aesthetic was based on the first Seiko chronograph, the 1-button chronograph, the 5717. And that was, I got one. And this person's commenting on my old review of that. After watching your review last week, I just couldn't stop thinking about this watch. I was lucky to find one of these as a display model, and with an $800 markdown from MSRP, I couldn't resist. I agree with everything you said about the watch. Okay, cool. Dial is just magnificent, so are the little details like the pushers and crown. Mine reads at 0 seconds per day on the time grapher, changing to +7 when on its side, which I consider excellent. I'd consider that excellent too. In regular wear, I'm gaining about 2 seconds a day, which I'm extremely happy with. What kind of beat air? Out of curiosity. Where I think the column wheel and vertical clutcher benefits is in the feel of the start, stop, and reset, and how the hands all spring back perfectly to 0. I own a number of other chronographs, and those with column wheel movements are almost always superior, at least in feel. Of course, as a modular watch movement with 3 separate clutches, I'm sure service will be more expensive on this than my other watches. I really enjoyed the review, and so far I'm enjoying the watch. Thank you. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the watch. I think about that watch from time to time. I really did want to wear it. If it wasn't brand new, I would have worn it. It's one of the reasons I like getting watches that have already been beaten a little bit, because then I don't have to worry about babying them or for any reason to preserve value or aesthetics, or just worry about the damn thing, because I'm never going to wear one watch enough to justify taking a brand new one and putting a bonk on it. But a used one, yeah, man. I don't know about long-term maintenance. I mean, Seiko doesn't plan for people to keep these things forever. I can't even imagine where you'd even begin to think about finding parts for the thing. They probably just sell. No, I'm sure they don't sell. I'm sure they provide their service department in Japan with just complete modules. But what do I know? 24/7 EDT. Spencer, I have a mail call question. Good news, I have mail call. Did Seiko ever make a watch with a solid gold case? I have seen gold tone or gold plated cases, but none in solid gold. I have done a bit of looking on Google machine with negative results. I suspect you or one of your subscribers might know. Thank you, and positive vibes. Positive vibes back at you. Well, there was the first quartz. It was the 1969 Astron, and that was solid gold in with a hammered finish on it. A beautiful, beautiful piece. Seiko had one other gold option too. Is they had gold cap, and gold cap actually I kind of dig, because the way gold cap works is it's a stainless steel case, and it has quite heavy duty, basically gold sheet over the top. So what you're looking at is solid gold, and everything that you see is not plated, it's literally gold. But the case being stainless, it's going to preserve itself. So that's another good option. I don't know, people, solid gold, Can anybody put in any information about any other models from Seiko that were... I remember seeing... I swear I was looking in an old JDM Seiko catalog, and there was some watch that had like an 18 karat case, because I saw the price for it and I was like, what? Man, I'll have to dig around. I have no idea, and I could have imagined that. But anyway, look into the gold cap too. Gold cap is cool because they are what they are. They're neat. If I had a better dial on my GS, my 45 GS, I would restore and wear that thing. But the dial's garbage. Anybody out there have a Grand Seiko dial for a 45 movement? That'd be awesome. Okay, David Janot. The 7T34 two-tone with slide rule bezel was promoted as a flight computer by Seiko. Cool. This is the one that people call the Flight Master now. I used to be a dealer back then. They came in different color combinations, yellow, gold with black, and one had red subdials. That's pretty cool, man. That's neat. A flight computer. That's pretty cool. Because obviously the first computer was, you know, these sort of, or early computer, like modern style computers would be slide rules. So yes, that's a computer to compute. Greyhound 35. This is a question about, where the heck did I put it? Ah, here it is. This is a question about my 7T59. There it is. You'll notice it looks a little cleaner. You would not. It would be impossible for me to tell you just how much work went into bringing this stupid thing back. I've done some dumb things in my life. No, it wasn't dumb, but it was like I gave my personal time, my weekend, over to doing this. I built and rebuilt this movement, the whole thing, completely apart 2-3 times. There were rust chunks on all of the on every single one of the stepper motors, so I had to hand clean everything. And this thing has a ton of gears, but most of them are sort of this weird soft green plastic. I mean, it's ease of manufacturing, but it meant that they were, you know, it was a very, very interesting rebuild, and I did get everything done, and everything works exactly as it should. I have to go back in and reset the hands. They're not exactly aligned the way that I like. Also, I got the upper 1/100th second hand on the lower register because it was really, really late at night. I was like super ready to go to bed. I'm like, but I'm this close. I have to put these 3 hands on, and I could do this, and it'll be done. And so I pushed ahead and I got the hands reversed, but I have to show off. Literally, completely dead. Oh, and the circuit, I had to repair. There was a missing chunk out of the circuit, one of the circuits. I had to create a replacement using copper wire that I pulled off of an old coil, and it works. Look at that thing go. I'm super proud. It works. This thing was garbage. Well, what somebody else considered garbage. But it worked. But I gotta make the hands a little bit nicer, and I have to find a correct clasp for it. But that's the original bracelet. Pretty cool watch. I want to do the hour and minute hands. When I clean them up, they didn't come out that well. I'm not happy with them, so I think I'm actually just going to strip them down to chrome and just redo them completely. I tried to basically repair them, but they were so damaged it just, I don't know. I mean, they're white and everything, and you can see them, but I don't know. But I like the watch. Oh, and the next question, Greyhound 35, was about this watch. Spencer, was that a broad arrow, i.e. military issue mark, to the top left of the serial number on the first watch you inspected? On the first watch I inspected? No, wasn't it this one? I will have to go back and check that. This watch, I thought you were asking about this watch. This watch did not. It had, I mean, I saw a thing, you know, but like that little mark right there, it's not a broad arrow. It's just some kind of weird scratch. But I'll go and I'll check those other ones. I'll make sure that I'm looking at the right watch for you. Ryan Walters, also about this watch. Didn't they call that first one Dancing Hands? The Dancing Hand ones that I always think about, there was a whole series of movements that came out, like Age of Exploration watches, and they had a number of. Seiko put out a number of watches at that time that you would like the soccer timer and some other stuff where you change the settings, click click click, and the hands would go back and forth and recenter themselves. I think that's what you're talking about, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, oops, that one's still going. I must have hit this. I must have hit the go button again. I have to show it off just a little. This was an entire weekend. Sorry about I stuck a pair of scissors in my hand. This was an entire weekend of work to do this. It was an entire weekend of work. I completely rebuilt the movement. I didn't have to buy anything. I had to replace a lot of stuff, but I was able to figure out what parts could be used from similar models or what workarounds could be done. The circuit was damaged, as I said, so I had to run a connection with copper wire pulled off of another quartz coil. But anyway, what else am I proud of? The hand here was faded. I put it back to the correct color. This dial text was also faded, and I stippled this in with that same color with a very fine piece of wood to sort of be a like that kind of thing, just to kind of stipple it in to kind of darken on the color. And I think it turned out pretty well. Actually, I'm pretty happy with it. That's pretty cool, huh? Back from the dead. 100%. Cool. Very happy with that. The last thing I need to do is I need to figure out the bracelet. Somebody tried to modify it, and the clasp thing that was on there was totally wrong. So I need to find the correct one, and until then I can't wear it. Oh, I ended up also super pleased. I did actually go back and I did redo the hands completely. So I just hated the way they looked. They looked all gummy as weird. So because the hands were damaged from, environmental exposure. So, but the chrome was fine. So I stripped them down to metal and then painted the frames white and I'll let that cure. And then I did just a slight off-white tritium style loom to match the original dial loom, but I made it a little more, slightly more glowy so I can see it at night. So I'm pretty happy with that too. I think I did a pretty good job. Okay, so this next question is from Super Cruise, talking again about the Hawaiian Beach MM300 Triton's timepiece. MM300 is legendary. Love mine. Looks like you have an SBDX 001 in your hands. This would make a great series of videos on the opening and restoration. I'm hoping, I hope, but I don't know what's going to happen. If it is in any way, if the decision in any way falls to me, I will do it, if I can. As much as I like these watches, there is one weak link in the metal bracelet. A single pin holds that one side of the clasp that seems like a weak point. Yes, I'm sorry. I thought you were Saltbrook. No, it's Super Cruise. I got them flipped. I mean, they sound nothing alike. They both start with S. Whatever. I got them confused. Single pin that holds one side of the clasp that seems like a weak point. I wonder if the bracelet broke in that exact point. It did. If I were in the water with one of these, it would have to be on the rubber strap. You definitely have my attention with this piece. Yeah. Oh, what Saul said about this stuff is, his feeling is that there's no, going in, the only option is Zulu or NATO. NATO, I think. But anything with a cloth strap that'll hold on. So, I mean, you would have to lose not one but two spring bars to lose a watch. And that makes sense to me. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I hope. Speedy Paul, also about the Marine Master. Spencer, would love to know how the Marine Master was lost and how you think so much water got in. Did the crown seal fail with the crystal gasket? No, the case. I think the case did. The case back looks tight. Well, yes, they're monocoque cases, so I hope you do another video on it. I'd love to. I'm just amazed a 300-meter diver, Seiko's flagship, honestly failed like that. When it arrived, the bracelet looked to have both spring bars, so I doubt the guy had it fall off of his wrist. I'm confused, as you can probably tell. Me too. Mystery of the Deep. Best to you guys from Scotland, and best to you in Scotland. Yeah, I think the case was fine. I think my personal thing is that it rusted through the spot that I was thrown, because there's literally this like a mouse hole through the side of that cartridge, the screw down thing. Maybe it's a different kind of steel than the case, and it acted like a sacrificial metal. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but it did fail. Yep. And so I don't know how this is going to go, but I have to start looking where I could. I don't know what's going to be wrong. I don't know. Find a complete replacement movement? Where do you find an 8L movement just sitting around? Okay. Nathan Barnes would love to watch an in-depth service and review video of the 7009 9000. Hey, look at that. It's me. I'm my own thumbnail. This baby. Yeah, I've been wanting for years to redo this one. I think so. So for those of you folks who are just tuning in and aren't familiar, this is sort of a mystery model. It's an extremely short-lived model that Seiko made, which is the only, as far as I can tell, the only model Seiko ever made. That can't be right, but I've never found anything else to say that's wrong. Made out of aircraft aluminum. It's a special like hardened aluminum, chemically tempered or something. But that's what this case is. The case material is ALH, and that's what it comes up as being. So the one theory I heard about for why this thing would be like this was that it was somehow intended for use around like a place where there can't be any magnetism. I don't know. Nuclear reactor? What do you not want magnetism around? Besides watches. Neil Sengupta. Hi, Spencer. Great mail call as always. Thank you, Neil. I always appreciate you writing in. Thank you. Please don't be disheartened by rude people. You know, I'm a little flower. I have a little flower-like life. And cold rain makes me my soul huddle. My question for next mail call. Here in the UK, Amazon Prime now has the entire back catalog of Bond, James Bond, and I've been watching them. Roger Moore was my Bond growing up, as was mine. He was mine, and I was pleasantly surprised to see Seiko feature heavily in his films. I went back through your archive and watched you talk about Bond Seiko watches. Do you still have those watches, and have you added any more Bond Seikos? Thank you as always for your videos. The only Bond watches I have now, I've got like some of the Moonraker watches, one of which was actually only in the movie in terms of being on a billboard. It wasn't actually even on a character's wrist. I still have the 69238080 69238080. That was the St. John Smythe character watch that Bond wore when he was like undercover at the horse farm in not For Your Eyes Only, for the, come on, the one where Sheena Easton sang the theme song. View to a Kill. So I have that one. Actually, I just pulled that one out, and I was looking at it recently. I really was, like, not very long ago. That's over there. It's a lovely watch. Very pretty. Most of my other, like, big collections, like my Aliens collections and the Bond stuff and other sort of odd little runs of watches, I would look at them and I'd be like, the only reason this watch is here, really, is to make this collection complete. And I don't know. I just, when I look at watches and I'm like, they don't want to, I personify them. I give them, I imagine that they have agency, wants and desires. And so, you know, like that Marine Master, I'm like, it's just sitting up there screaming. I want to fix that thing like you wouldn't even believe. Man, do I want to get in there and solve that pain. But I feel the same way about watches that are sitting around not getting worn. It's like, why is this watch here? It wants to be somewhere else. You know, it wants to get worn. I'm not wearing it, so out it goes. So I really, because otherwise, you know, I already own too many watches. And unless I'm wearing it, if I'm not wearing a watch, it should go. Regardless of its, you know, value, regardless of its position within my collection. Out it goes. Oh, watch nut. I just bought one of these, commenting on a video about a Vietnam era 6119 8140. Mine is still on its original bracelet, serial number of 98. Wow, you gave me the whole serial number. 98, so August of 1969. Very close serial number to the one in your video. It too has a lovely buttery loom. The bracelet is marked with an unusual symbol I have never seen before on the clasp in Japan. Really nice watch. What's the symbol? I'd be very curious to see what it is. Do you mean on the outside of the clasp, or do you mean like inside on the fold? Because right in that time, the company that was making bracelets for Seiko in like the, you know, the mid 60s and the later 60s, they had their own logos. Usually inside the fold. There were a few different ones. But then by the time like 69 came around, all that stuff stopped and it became all the Japan stainless steel Z or Japan stainless steel B or whatever the heck it was. And it changed to that. Maybe those letters relate to the company making them, which would make sense, but I don't know if that's correct. And you also asked, what was the latest SUA 6309704X that you've seen? So for those of you not in the know, I talked about this last week. There's SUA and there's non-SUA when it comes to the 6309 divers. SUA means that they were made SUA plants. SUA had made most of the models that people think of when they think of vintage Seiko. But in a cost-cutting measure, which Seiko is quite fond of, they moved production for things like 6309 and stuff out of Japan to Hong Kong. And so at that point, the SUA symbol was taken off. And so you don't see that SUA symbol anymore. So they call them SUA and non-SUA. This move started in, basically you're going to be SUA all the way through spring of 1981 until it seems like somewhere in the summer June-ish area, that starts to stop. You start to see the non-SUA type dials. The latest SUA that I can personally remember seeing was like from the middle fall of 1981, like September, maybe October. Not any later than that I can ever remember seeing. On the slim cases, yeah, they made those for a long time. Wait, no, not on the slim cases. What I'm misremembering. The 7548s. There's no such thing as a SUA or a non-SUA 7548. I believe that those, all of the 7548, 7549, blah, 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 all that stuff, that was all made in Japan. And I believe personally that Seiko felt at that time that the future was quartz, and that mechanical movements would die away, which is why they shifted that stuff out of country, and SUA continued putting their marks on the 7548s and everything else until they were discontinued. And they still kept them on even after that. I mean, my ashtray, which was a 7C, that was made in December of 1986, and it had SUA markings all over it. So that's real interesting. If you want to SUA later than, midsummer 1981, you'll have to go for a 754X. It's interesting. Auburn Sen. Lovely video, Spencer, and thank you. Well, thank you. Where would you rate the 7019 movement as opposed to a 6619 versus a 6119? Well, I don't think I've had any outtakes. So, and this is the last question. So let's have an outtake and we'll look at those movements. How's that for an idea? I think it's a good one. Okay. Bye.
This will be crude, but here we go. So we have 3 different eras, more or less, of Seiko. This is a 6619. This was sort of the pretty standard movement for the mid-60s. Seiko used these in a ton of stuff. These were also kind of like the NH35 of their day, in that other companies bought these watch movements and put them in their watches. And so they were sort of generally all out there. They're nice movements. They're very solid. They're workaday. They're kind of old in certain respects, but they're fully jeweled. And they're a slow beat. They're 18,000 BPH, but they can give just wonderful numbers, wonderful and steady. My Mac V SOG, the last one I had, which I just sold, that watch was a 6619, and I just love them. I just think they're great, and I think they're underrated. The problem is they don't really have any signature models that belong to them, and so most everybody's forgotten about them. Then, when these went, this is the 6119. The advantages about this one, 6119s, they have cap jewels. They have diafix settings. They're a little more highly jeweled. They do not hack. Neither does the 6619. And they have, the 6000 series has that problem where it's trying to push power through a mainspring that has to be a little strong to make this big balance swing around. So you get the mainspring R report gets destroyed, and then this stuff happens. Look at that brassing there. This is, and forgive me, this isn't a 7019. This is a 7009. They're essentially, effectively the exact same thing. The difference being the 7009 was 17 joules, and the 709. The 7009 was sort of the workhorse movement of its day. Then the 7019, which was more highly jeweled, also with, like, say, diafix settings and stuff. This 7019 movement, they are essentially a 7S26. in basically every respect. That's what they are. They're a 7S26A. So these are ubiquitous up to the very present day in the 4R and 6R movements. Now to have representatives of each model. 6619. Oh, what are we going to choose for the 60? Well, you see, the problem with the 6100 series is that it has a ton of models that can represent it because they're all based on the 6106. 6106 being like a 6119 except without the die fixed settings and with added hacking, unless it was a 25 jewel one. Isn't that neat? So that can be, you know, there. There's another one. That's another 6000 series watch. And here's another 6000 series watch. So they're ubiquitous. I mean, the 6000 series watches are, man, a huge amount of what most people collect for vintage Seiko are derivatives of that. As for 7019, well, as I said, 7019 is, you know, like this. This is a sports. Isn't this one sports? This is JDM, isn't it? I have to try my new loom stuff on this one. Yeah, this one's JDM. Ooh, candy pinion's worn as hell. Yeah, isn't that cool? Look at that case. Not wild. But yeah, this is essentially a 7S26. And what is the greatest 7S26 model? This is this one Willows or Sadie's? Yep, this is Sadie's. This is the first SKX 007 I ever owned. I still get that feeling when I look at it. When I got it, because I got it off of eBay used, and I had it shipped to the house, and it came in right before I had to leave on a weekend work trip. And so I didn't open it until I was at my destination, which was 2.5 hours in the mountains. But then I opened it up in my hotel room, and I was just blown away by it. I can't even describe the feeling of it. So there it is. There's your 7019. They're the great models. Oh, this 6619. This is a nice model. This belonged to a lifelong family friend, somebody who knew me from the very beginning. Someone, I mean, I talked with him all the time. He's Joe Phillips. He's a World War II vet. He was at Normandy, but D18. He was a radio guy. Anyway, this was one of his 2 watches. He was an engineer and he worked for HP. He re-enlisted for Korea and actually got flight qualified. They had him flying people around in either an owl or a beaver. I don't remember which. Anyway, but that was Joe's. Note, these earlier watches, not screw down, snap-on case back. And I don't know. I think that's all pretty neat. So here's Sabrina's recent find. And again, this by the sides of the streets, all the way up and down these neighborhood streets. Anytime, like on the edges, instead of there being grass, or if there's a lane in the middle of the road, there's not grass, they do xeriscaping, which is basically it's stuff that doesn't need watering. And so it's all these big old cobbles. And she was walking and she saw this one. She just glanced at it and she was like, that looks cool. And so, yeah. So there it is. It's an ammonite. You can... Trying to see where we can get the shadows the best. And it curls around. And these, I'm not sure where the plane of it was. I think it was at an angle like this. I think this was up and down, but I'm not sure. But it's interesting, like how kind of icky it can be. I mean, this thing went through being sediment, getting turned into a mountain, getting worn off the top of the mountain, coming down the rivers, getting worn, getting buried in some, you know, plain somewhere with gravel and rocks and stuff, and then up here, and it's still icky. I mean, it went from no Rocky Mountains to the top of the Rocky Mountains, ickiness intact. It's just, I mean, those are some of the original structures inside. Woof. Isn't that wild? This portion broke off. It was already cracked. I haven't gotten around to doing this yet, as I want to look in some of the ones that were completely sealed. I want to look and see if there's anything neat in there. Anyway, I think that's pretty cool. Alrighty.